everybody watching, hit brands up. They want to work with you. You guys are scared to send a DM, send an email, or call them. Like, they literally...
Send the DM. It'll
send
work.
the email, send the DM. They will answer you. They want to work with brands because they want exposure. Why are you scared?
Yeah.
They want you. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Sneakpeak Podcast episode 3. I'm your host, Johan Rebo. I am joined with my boy, Julian Golden. He works at Bonsai now, but 3 years ago, we actually met at another sneaker convention. And I came up to him. I told him that I would love for him to come to my show. And since then, we've worked together. We've done the Sneakpeak photo booth together. We've done an entire show together. So I will let you introduce yourself because you got a lot going on.
Yeah, fair. Well, happy to be here. Super stoked to get on the episode. So my name's Julian Golden. Kind of have a lot going on these days, but primarily I'm the head of business development at Bonsai. Bonsai is a tech company out here in Toronto. And I kind of dig a bit more into kind of what we do there, but we work with a lot of kind of top tier publishers and retailers, kind of bringing those spaces together. Aside from that, the co-founder and creative director of Interest, clothing brand I started with my partner out in Montreal. We've been doing that for a couple years, and then just been doing a lot of work with brands and retailers kind of in Canada and the US, kind of doing a little bit of like e-com consulting type stuff, brand development, design work. So yeah, kind of a lot going on. Super excited to kind of dig into all of it.
Okay, so when you started Interest, the clothing brand, you were living in Montreal?
Yeah, correct. So I went to McGill University for 4 years. I studied economics and marketing and sociology there as well. So I started Interest in my second year of school, second or third year, with my partner, Xander Smith. We've been kind of running that for a little while as well. It started as like kind of a thing to do in school and kind of took off.
When did you start it?
So yeah, we started like just one day. Yeah, it was second or third year, and we were kind of just in econ class. We had a bunch of classes together because we were in econ together, and we started basically like it was kind of a joke, to be honest. There was never any plan to like start a brand. We hadn't been talking about starting a brand or anything. We had a lot of similar interests. You know, we both kind of grew up big fans of like basketball, skate culture, streetwear design, and stuff like that. But it kind of spawned from this joke of putting faces on clothing and how we weren't famous enough to sell anything with our faces on it, but we wanted to kind of give it a try and see if we could.
Like sketches of faces.
Yeah, well, like, so we were joking about the Lucas hoodie, which is like one of Odd Future's kind of like most popular pieces from a little while ago. So Lucas was like their Odd Future's like head of product or something like that. I don't even know for sure. But they put a hoodie with this like goofy looking dude's face on it. And it was like crazy, and we were like, could we do that? And we were like, probably not. Like, we don't look that good, and like, no one's gonna buy a shirt with our face. But you know, maybe we can add some like design elements to that to make it kind of cool. And that's what we did. Like, I sketched up the logo, which was our faces, kind of like a line drawing, and made a couple hats, and sold them to friends. And kind of we started getting more questions. And that's kind of that was like the start of it. Yeah.
So for the beginning part of building the clothing brand, like what was some of the main mistakes that you made for like the people that are trying to build a brand? Because I know so many people, like as we speak, building their clothing brand from scratch. So for somebody that's already done that, what was like the main challenges? Yeah,
so like we had no idea what we were doing when we started, and I think like because we didn't go into it even looking to like start a brand. We're like, let's just try this out. We didn't do like any research either into like what you should be doing, like the key fundamentals of like starting a brand. We didn't do any of that. So we were just like, cool. Like I know of a bunch of brands, and like I think this is what they do. So let's just like do that basically. So we made a lot of mistakes. Manufacturing was like super tough. We probably wasted a lot of money on that, a lot of time.
Adds up.
Yeah, totally. And then like, you know, we're in college, like we don't have that much money anyways. So we were trying to be like conscious about money, but we were like, we wanted to do it locally.
Right.
We weren't thinking about like overseas because it wasn't going to be like a huge thing. So we had to find people with small runs, and that was cool. But like, there were some mistakes made there.
For sure, yeah.
I think one of the other mistakes we did was like, we thought we could just like seed product and like get famous.
Yes.
So we just started sending product to like everyone.
Oh my God.
We're like, yo, like, you don't know who I am, but like, I've made like one shirt, so you should have it. And we were like, yo, we just mailed out like 8 shirts. Like, that's going to be it. Like,
what's our
ROI tomorrow, like, they're all going to
roof.
post about it on Instagram. Everyone's going to see it. Our Instagram page is going to go up like crazy. And then, like, nobody posted about it. And I think for us, we were like, the shirt's sick. Like, why aren't they posting about it? But I think what we realized is, like, we hadn't really told a story about what the brand was. We didn't even really, like, tell them anything. We were just like, here's a shirt. So, like, if they really, really connected with it aesthetically, maybe they'd post about it. But, like, they're like, why would I just, like, plug this dude?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally. And so we realized...
Why would they even repost it?
Yeah, exactly. So we realized that later, and we kind of, like, tried to do that more strategically. After that, like, we didn't give away clothes to, like, people like that for a really long time because we had to kind of think about how we were going to do it. And it was also especially because we were, like, that went into, like, basically just giving money away, like, because we're making products and giving it away and getting nothing for it.
Well, who are you giving them to? Was it like influencers?
Yeah, so like,
okay, and they still did nothing.
Yeah, so you? Like, it's not like they didn't do nothing. Like, we thought like we were good because like we thought like we were DMing these guys on Instagram, like we were messaging them on Facebook. So it was like artists like in Montreal, artists in Toronto, like hip hop rappers and stuff like that, and we were like talking to them. We're like talking to their managers because they were getting back to us, and we're like, yo, we're good. Like, we're talking to these people. Like, that's it. But we didn't like, there were no contracts, there were no promises. They're like, cool, we'll check it out. Sketchy. Yeah, it's like, you want to mail me a shirt? Like, I'm not going to say no to that, but like, we didn't get any like promises or anything. So then like a couple weeks later, I'm like, hey, like, why haven't you guys posted? And they're like, well, man, like, we've been busy. Or like, hey, why haven't you guys posted? And they're like, well, like, I'm very curated in like what I post on my Instagram and stuff like that. So I think we didn't really
need
like,
a program at the end of the day, like an influencer program.
Yeah, you don't always need like super like drawn out plans.
Yeah.
But I think it's just good to have like, you want those things to be more organic. And I think like, we didn't even know these people. We had no relationship with them. We just sent them stuff and thought like, what, they're going to post it because it's free.
You know what I realized actually? The best way to get an influencer to mess with your brand is to literally build a friendship with them. Because one, they'll actually want to promote you genuinely, and then people will see that. Because when I see influencers posting ads, and they literally put hashtag ad, I just scroll through. I don't even read the caption.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so fake, right? Like, you
they
don't
totally
genuinely like the product.
Yeah,
so
for
if
sure.
they don't like it, why would I like it?
Right, and I think that was what we learned very quickly.
Yeah.
Was they're like, even if they did post it, like, it wouldn't feel organic. And like, all we wanted, we thought like, yo, they're going to post it and we're going to get a bunch of follows, and then we can repost it, and then people will think we're like legit. Yeah. And that could have worked if it was an organic like friendship or partnership or something, but it wasn't. So those were like kind of the early things where we're like, honestly, I think we were just like a little naive, and we were like, once we have product, like, we're good. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more to that. Okay. Yeah.
So once you actually once the ball was rolling, once you started getting traction, what would you say are some of the key moves to creating a brand that lasts?
So I'm a big advocate for just like really playing into your core customers and like giving them everything. Okay. And really building a brand off of like a handful of people, and a handful can be kind of whatever that means to you. It could literally be 5, or it could be 500, like however big you are. But like for those people, like really like making them feel like family and like part of the brand, almost like part of that team. Right. Because over time, when you start to give those people like a lot of value from your brand, and if they like the clothing, they'll wear it, and they'll start talking about it without you having to ask them to do it or giving them free stuff. So like, we found so much more value from like having friends or like customers of the brand that we really showed a lot of respect to, and they did the same, and they were more influential as like an influencer than like any of those influencers we had like just given a free shirt to.
I tell this to every single person I talk to that's basically building any brand. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. When you over present, let's say,
Yeah.
those customers, those normal customers, become brand ambassadors
Exactly. Yeah.
just naturally.
Yeah, and it was great because we started to see like this was a brand we started in university, so it was like a lot of our friends and a lot of students at the school, and we would like go out to like a club or like go to a party, and you'd see people wearing it, and it's not like I said like, hey, can you wear the shirt tonight? There's going to be a bunch of people at this party.
wow.
Like they would just wear it because they genuinely liked it, and then like when I would show up, they'd be like, yo, I'm wearing the shirt, like check me out.
Wow.
And that was like really cool because they were excited to show me how much they liked what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, this is awesome.
They're proud to wear it.
Yeah, they were super proud to wear it. And they were like, yo, like, you guys, like, check out this shirt. Like, my boy Julian or, like, my boy Xander. Like, these guys made the clothes. And that was really cool for us. And for a long time, we were going out and getting shout-outs like that. And, like, that was way cooler than, like, any, like, kind of celebrity influencer posting on their Instagram.
Because it's like, genuine.
Yeah, and we got to like experience it in person too, which I think was really cool. So that was really great. And once we saw that, and we're like, okay, like let's conquer this McGill kind of Concordia like group here, because like our friends and students and stuff, and there were a bunch of like student organizations and like parties and events that we could like really kind of get involved with, and we're like, let's do that. Instead of trying to like just grow to all these people, like let's take it kind of smaller and go deep in that.
Wow. And that obviously worked.
Yeah, it worked pretty well. It was like, I think for us, like from a following perspective, it grew slower, but from like a sales and repeat purchase rate, it was a lot faster.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so what was really cool is like, I think there's a couple different ways that you can like gauge success with a brand or with anything really. And so the two main things are like, you can see what your social media following looks like, and then you can check sales. And we kind of were slower to grow our social media following. And even now, it's not like massive, but our sales were really consistent, and like we had people coming back like every drop buying stuff. Wow. So that was really a testament to like, okay, we might not have like hundreds of thousands of people like checking us out, but the people that are checking us out really like it, are buying a lot, and that's sustaining us just as much. And it was more fun for us too, because I was like, I'd rather have these people that keep coming back and keep loving the brand than like a bunch of people that like maybe bought a t-shirt, exactly. But like they're buying t-shirts everywhere, they're
coming back. That's all that matters.
Yeah, honestly. Exactly. And so that was like really, really
so you're
cool.
building loyal customers.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's really what matters.
Brand loyalty was huge for us, and that was the most important thing.
Exactly. Okay. So repeated customers means repeated drops. So you keep on releasing new things.
Yeah.
So what's the key to a successful rollout for a new drop?
So
it's basically the same method, right? Over and over?
Yeah. So we got really heavy into events to support new drops. We tried to do just like drops like available now online. Yeah, and people were like, I don't care. Yeah. Like I wasn't trying to shop online today, so whatever. But when we started throwing events, we do like a really big launch party every summer. Usually we do like a big drop there. And we did some stuff over the holidays, and kind of whenever we do a drop, we'll usually try to support it by some type of event where you can both like come hang out and like also check out the products and buy stuff. And that was really great for us because like first day of release, we'd have like tons of volume, like in sales. People had a really good time, so they had like a memory built around this drop. Like, oh man, remember when you guys dropped like that t-shirt? Like, yeah, that night was so sick. And like, because they remember that night was awesome. And I remember that was when I bought like that shirt or that hoodie. So that like that hoodie now is like attached to those memories, which is really cool. And then
it's a great idea.
We'd have a lot of exposure, kind of like day two, like everyone was wearing our stuff. So that was really good. And then we would usually put it online after. So then the people at the events could like kind of feel like they had that like early access, which is really cool. And those events were really intimate for us.
So you expose it live?
Yeah.
And then you release it to the public.
Yeah, and it was public after. Okay. And then what was really cool was because we did it after, in those kind of 1 or 2 days in between, we got like tons of content from the videos, from the events, and could turn those into like videos or cool photos or whatever. And then we would start posting that. So by the time it went online, everyone who couldn't come to the event was already like watching and be like, damn, like that event looks sick.
And
but
you can
like
also post pictures of people wearing the t-shirts.
exactly,
yeah. Now online.
It was like doing 30 photo shoots for a drop in one night. That's so
worth it.
Yeah, and so like we had all this content then that we could post. So by the time it dropped online, everyone knew about it. They knew about the events, and they were checking it out, and they were like,
but
damn.
Were people wearing the merch from that drop at the launch party?
Oh yeah, like people, like it was for sale at the party.
Yeah.
And like dudes were literally like taking their shirt off and like putting the other one on.
Cool. So
which
that's
was
when you
jokes.
snap pictures. Okay.
Yeah. So that was sick. And like we tried to encourage people to do that. Like it was funny because like most of these weren't like very like, they weren't like at stores or anything. So we didn't have like change rooms or anything. People were literally like taking off their clothes and putting on other clothes like in the middle of the event and stuff like that. And we were getting pictures. But and what we did was we offered for all these events where you could buy stuff. A lot of them were in the evening. So we would like tell people like, yo, come shop. Like, you know, we always had like sponsors for drinks and stuff like that. So people could go out after.
Would you have like beers and stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. These events got wild.
It's university kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. These events got super fun. But we realized one of the biggest concern was like, man, if like, I don't want to buy stuff if I have to like go out to a bar after, because I got to carry around all this stuff. So we would basically say like, yo, leave your stuff here and we'll offer like next day you can come pick it up, or like we'll arrange for you to get it. And so then people were like, oh, hell yeah. So they like buy tons of stuff, and they weren't leaving the stuff they bought at the event. They were leaving like the clothes they showed up in at the event. Nice. And they were like going out to the bars in like the hoodies and the tees and the hats and stuff. So it's super fun because then like afterwards, if everyone was like going out, we'd have this like mob of people all wearing the brand too, which is really sick.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, super fun.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of good value right there. So cool. If you're watching, good value. Talking about interest, and you and Xander started the brand, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are friends.
Yeah.
You guys became business partners, but still friends, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So talk about like the importance of friendships in business and trusting your business partner and everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so Xander and I met each other basically like in the first kind of week or so of school at McGill. We were in the same residence. I think he was like a floor above me or something like that, but we were in the same res, so a lot of like stuff going on there, and then we had a lot of classes together. So like kind of naturally we met and like started hanging out, and so we became like really good friends, and we were in the same program. So we had like classes together like multiple times a week, every week for like 4 years basically, and then on top of that, like we basically lived in the same building. So I think it was like pretty easy for us to like decide to like start a project together. It wasn't like we were starting a business like in the beginning. Like that's not how we thought about it. We're like just two friends, like let's just like do something, whatever. And I don't think we like gave it a lot of thought about like, is it going to be weird if we like work together? But I mean, there was like some obviously like inclination of like this could turn into something. So like, how do we want to go about it? But, you know, like we were obviously friends first and business partners later, but I think those went really well together. And it was like a super good ride. And yeah, like I wouldn't want to run it with anyone else. Like we trust each other with everything and super honest with each other too, which I think is really important.
The importance of running a business with somebody that you trust is obviously key, right?
Yeah.
So if you're running a business, do you think that it's beneficial to run it with your best friend that may be, let's say, less qualified, rather than running it with somebody that's like iffy, but that's built a big business? Which one would you choose?
So, I mean, I think it depends what business you're building, but I mean, at least for us, like we're spending so much time together because of class and living. And then like on top of that, we are now building this brand together and spending another who knows how many hours like a week together. So I think it's super important if you're in a situation like that to be friends, and like you got to be able to like hang out together for 40 hours a week or something like that. At least. I think it's super important to be friends in terms of like that versus like someone who's more qualified. I always like believe like for something like that, you can kind of build those qualifications together.
I was about to say that.
I mean, like obviously if you have more skills, that's helpful, but you know, I would probably not be able to have like sustained a partnership as long as I have with Xander if Xander was someone who was really skilled, but like I didn't like.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or even like liked like less or like could tolerate. You know, that's like not why we wanted to do it. And also we didn't start the brand to like make a lot of money as a business. Like we started because we were friends. We wanted to try a project. So that was like important for us, was just like being friends first.
Yeah. I mean, although, finances is important, obviously, but
Yeah, totally.
I feel like the best businesses start with the goal of not making money. Like the goal is to really build a brand and have fun. And
Yeah,
do it the
for
right
sure.
way.
Yeah, like we didn't start thinking about money for like a really long time. We maybe should have started thinking about it a little bit sooner.
Yeah, just a little
but that was never a focus for us. And
But
like
it comes, right? It comes
yeah,
back.
and especially because we were students and like we didn't know like, okay, is this something like we want to do full time? Is it not? And I mean, like right now, it's not our full time job. And I think we both kind of were on the same page with that. Like this can be a really cool side project and like bigger than like most side projects would be. Like it is a business. It's not like it's not just like a side thing, but that was like kind of our whole thinking with it. And so with the money, like that was nice because we didn't want to be losing money, but
sure.
it wasn't like, like we got to get our margins to this so
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
we hit our like monthly sales
For
goals
sure,
and
for
stuff
sure.
like that.
That's a
We
little
didn't have
intense.
sales goals for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing it's expected, right?
Yeah.
Or else you're just going to lose money. But a lot of people don't know. It's kind of like that traditional business education
Yeah.
that you need, but that almost nobody applies.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
very odd. I don't know why.
And I think for us too, like we're always making profit when we sold something, and we did like no marketing in the beginning because we were like, we can just like sell this to friends and like throw parties that like cost no money. Now I guess a party is kind of like marketing, but like didn't really cost us anything, and we got a lot of sponsors to like help us out. So
Okay, I want to talk about that.
yeah,
Those
totally.
sponsors.
But so for us, we were like, we're kind of always in the green because we're making profit on the close and not spending money on anything else but the close. So we were chilling. So we didn't really need to have like financial goals, or like we had like no business plan because we were just like, we're not losing money because we're selling through our products and we're making profit on each one. So we were fine.
Wow. Okay, so what were the rules? You're getting graphic designing, right?
Yeah. So
What's Xander good at?
yeah, so I mean, Xander, like, although he doesn't do the actual graphic design, like, Xander's got a really good eye for design.
Okay.
And, like, a lot of the designs, like, well, basically all the designs are, like, mutually designed between us. But a lot of them, it's like, he'll draw stuff up and, like, it's
Okay.
sick. And so we'll
Oh,
work
then
together
you'll
to
put it onto the
yeah,
computer. Okay.
yeah. But I would say, like, and in the beginning and even now, like, we're kind of just always doing everything. Xander's definitely kind of fallen more into the role of the finances and of like operations and stuff like that. My role has been a bit more creative with design or with like kind of the marketing stuff or events, and like a little bit kind of more of like the partnership side. But at the end of the day, like there's only two of us really, and we've had help like here and there, but with only two people, like everyone's just kind of doing everything.
Right,
like
right.
I can build out a financial model if I need to, and like Xander knows how to do graphic design if he needs to as well. So it kind of mixes, but I think like
That helps.
there is a little bit of a division there for sure.
Okay. So you're good at getting sponsors, right? And graphic design.
A little bit, yeah.
So talk about Bonsai. So your current job,
Yeah.
you're head of.
So I'm head of business development, and like my main focus is partnerships. Basically what we do at Bonsai is we're basically, the way we like to say it, is kind of shaking up like the publishing and e-commerce space. Kind of like super like 50,000 feet high level view. It's like we have this product that we call native checkout, and we are allowing content creators, publishers, and guys like those to be able to participate in commerce by selling products from partners that we kind of have in our like partnerships world. So I'm kind of bringing all that together. That's my role.
You're the link.
And so we just launched a really exciting project with Complex.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
Basically helping Complex participate in commerce. They've been creating incredible content for like 25 plus years now, and kind of really tapping into like a really strong core audience. And a lot of their content's super shoppable, so they wanted to be able to sell products, but they don't want to obviously kind of become a retailer themselves and have to like carry all these products. So I bring a lot of like retailers and brand partners into the mix whose products they can sell. And yeah, that's kind of my role there. And we have a lot of new kind of upcoming projects, somewhat similar to Complex, with a bunch of other partners, and that'll require like just building out kind of like both the supply and demand side of the business.
Okay, so the skills that you learned at work, you obviously apply to interest, and you even applied to Sneakpeak as well.
Yeah, totally. I would say like everything has kind of applied itself to everything too. Like I got the job at Bonsai because of interest.
Oh, really?
Wow. Because I had like at the time, and it's shifted a little bit now, but at the time Bonsai was like a men's shopping app, and I had a good knowledge of the kind of like streetwear retail space that Bonsai needed help with. And so my kind of like skills that I'd picked up from interest and my knowledge of the like kind of the market and the environment helped out with that. So I was actually able to apply a lot of the skills that I learned from interest at Bonsai. But then kind of once they started kind of happening at the same time, then like a lot of the stuff I was doing at Bonsai too was like really helpful for interest, or like, when we did the stuff for Sneakpeak too, you know, like getting those partners and those sponsors. A lot of the knowledge I picked up from Bonsai was really helpful for that.
Okay, that's amazing. So you get like the traditional, I guess, the traditional knowledge, but then you apply it, you really go out into the field and you apply it, and you get legitimate, like large scale companies to work with you.
Yeah, it's been really cool. We've had some really exciting opportunities to work with, kind of like on all ends with interest, Bonsai, and Sneakpeak as well. Some really, really cool brands, some great retailers, and being able to kind of build stuff with them is really fun, and kind of learning how to kind of speak to those brands and those big kind of companies too.
Yeah.
With interest, it was definitely on a smaller scale, because we just had less of a presence. But Bonsai now, with like some of the big partners we have, and then same with Sneakpeak, and like there's a really big audience there.
Yeah, stakes are higher. For sure.
Yeah, totally. But we have a lot to offer, and just kind of getting like right in there and diving into those conversations has been really cool. And I've learned a lot from those.
By now, I mean, you obviously have a lot of experience under your belt.
A little bit. I mean, I'm still young and still definitely like
we're young bulls.
You know, we've got like I've still got a lot of challenges that I'm kind of working through for sure. But I think in the kind of short time that I've had in this stuff, like I've been really lucky to kind of get the opportunities I have.
I can confidently say you have a lot more skills and experience than a lot of people out there that are trying to get sponsors for their events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for those people though, there's got to be like tips and tricks that you apply to every sponsor or to every approach. Like, how do you approach a brand when you want them to sponsor your event?
Yeah, sure. So I think like the first thing you need to do before you even like reach out to anyone is just understand the value proposition that you bring to them. Nobody has time in this kind of space to do favors for each other. As like kind of negative as that sounds, when you're starting out and you don't have a relationship with these people, you're not going to get handouts. So you have to convince them that they're missing out if they don't do something with you, right? So you have to really understand the value that you bring to them and really make sure that value is what they're looking for. It can't just be like, oh, you know what, I've got 50,000 Instagram followers, like any brand should want to work with me. It's like, do those 50,000 followers, like, are they going to actually want what that brand has? Like, if you have 50,000 followers and you're like a women's swimsuit brand and you're trying to reach out to like a men's like gym, like, I don't know, there might not be an alignment there. Maybe they don't really care. So you have to understand the value that you can bring to them that they want. That's kind of the first piece of advice. I would say the second thing is just don't be afraid to reach out to everyone.
Exactly.
I mean, like, you pull the cliche, like you miss like 100% of the shots you don't take, you know, and that's like totally true in sales and partnerships. And I mean, I've gotten a lot of emails back like, no, stop emailing me, stop calling me, like, stop wasting my time. I don't want you. Or like, I'll hit someone up 7 times before they respond to me.
Exactly.
But in the beginning, when you're trying these out and these are new conversations, like you don't know kind of what their situation is. It might not be a good time. Maybe they're not interested.
I was about to say timing is like they could just not be in a good space right now, but they're super down.
Yeah, totally.
And then you miss out on the opportunity if you don't email them back.
Yeah, exactly. So I think so number one is understand your value. Number two is don't be afraid to reach out. And then I think number three is that persistence. Like don't be discouraged if they don't answer you on your first hit or your second hit. Like
absolutely
keep reaching out to these people. If you truly believe that you have value to bring to them, just keep hitting them up and make sure that when you are hitting them up that you're communicating that value. You can't just say, hey, I have value. Like you should give me a call. Literally say what you can offer them, but be concise about it. Obviously you can't just write these people paragraphs.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody likes to read a long ass email.
Yeah, for sure. And so like keep hitting them up, be concise though. And eventually you'll get kind of the responses you need. After that, I mean, there's tons of advice to be given, but it's all kind of case by case. It depends who you're talking to or what you're working on. But if you have value, once you get that conversation going, like you'll work something out.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Let's say you have an email and you have a phone number.
Yeah.
Which method of communication do you choose?
I never call on the first go. Because I never like getting calls from people that I don't know personally.
Right.
And also calling someone in the middle of the day, you're probably not going to get them to pick up. And if they do pick up, they're probably not going to be wanting to give you a lot of time. And the thing is, if you call them and they don't pick up, a voicemail is a lot less effective than a good email. So I always email on the first go, and will ask to continue a conversation. And once you have a relationship, then it's okay maybe to call them. But I always email first, and I'll email a few times. I'm really not a fan of cold calling.
For sure.
I tried it for sure because, you see all these other businesses that are just cold calling nonstop. And so there were points where emails weren't working as well as other times. And so I was like, maybe I'll call. And I squashed that pretty quick.
Yeah. I think it really depends. For the brands that are at least large or even semi-large, email's way better. But let's say you have a local brand that you want to work with or that you want us to get a sponsorship from. Yeah. And you know that they're going to answer the phone for a fact.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not like super, super busy. Then you could call them. But for the most part,
totally.
Just stick to email.
Yeah, for sure. I think if it's like, if this is a bigger business and they're going to be busy, it's always better to email.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you're reaching out to a store or a restaurant or something like that, and they have like an available phone number, totally cool to hit them up, and they might say you might be able to get everything you need out of them on that phone call, and that could be sick. Or they might give you an email, or they might say call back. You never know. But definitely though, like if the one phone number you have is someone's cell phone, however you got that cell phone number, probably not the smartest, because even I've called and even I've emailed people and they're like, how'd you get my information? Like, what's going on? So like, you always have to be like, kind of cognizant of the fact that like you are hitting someone up on their personal like email or phone number. So be aware of that. But if it's like a public kind of business and they're posting their phone number, the email, so go for it.
If they have like a sponsorships phone,
then totally hit them up. Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about your experience with Bonsai. I want to know, like, in your professional career, I know obviously we're young bulls, but we have done a couple of things in our life so far.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, the thing that you're the most proud of in your career, at least.
I would say that the thing I'm the most proud of currently is the position that I've gotten myself into to kind of grow over the next few years.
The foundation.
Yeah. I don't like... I've done a lot of stuff that I really like. Like, I'm super proud of where interest is at and where we got it to pretty quickly. I'm really excited about some of the stuff we've built with Bonsai, and like running Sneakpeak and putting that together with you was like super, super fun. But to me, like, I see those as all just kind of scratching the surface. I know that there's so much potential for all three of those things and the other stuff that I'm working on. And so I'm just really happy that I've kind of gotten to this point and I can see kind of like a trajectory.
All about the vision.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, there's small things too where, like, when I was as a young kid, like, who was like super into like streetwear and skateboarding and stuff like that, like all I wanted to do was like go to a Agenda trade show, because I was like, yo, that's where like all these brands are, like the Hundreds and like Billionaire Boys Club and like LRG and stuff like that.
Huge booths.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't even understand at that time like what it was. Like I didn't even know it was like a business only, like not open to the public event. I didn't know anything about like buying or like wholesale or anything like that, so I had no idea what Agenda was. But I was like, yo, this is a place where all these brands are there. So when I got to go to that, I was like an industry person. I was like, yo, this is really sick.
You got the inside scoop.
Yeah, and that was
the greatest
great.
mall of all time.
Yeah, it was crazy. You can't even buy stuff. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like, because I'm not even a retailer. Like, we went in and truthfully, like, we saw success from going to that event, but we didn't go back because, like, there were just, like, other ways that we could go about kind of what we were looking for there. But
right.
That was really cool. ComplexCon was really cool. That, like, wasn't around more than, like, 4 years ago. So, like, it's not like I was, like, a young kid who always wanted to go to ComplexCon, but that was really cool to see. And stuff like that. Like, those are like small wins. You know, we've had some like amazing events with interest, and we've had some nights with like crazy sales, and so like that's really cool. And just like seeing Sneakpeak and like with all the work that went into it, like just being there and seeing that, and you know, talking to some really cool people who were like super engaged, stuff like that. Like that was great. But yeah, again, like those are all like, to me, like that's not even close to like the stuff that I can see coming about from all those things down the line.
It's cool to have all these things happen. But if you get caught up in the things that you're currently doing, you're just gonna keep on doing it over and over. Like you need to see, you need to have a goal at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure.
Or else you're not gonna grow. You're not gonna push the envelope.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like,
go anywhere.
Yeah, I think like when you do stuff like that, like for me, I'm always like, cool, that was sick. Like,
what's next?
When I do it, yeah, exactly. Like when I do an interest launch party, I'm like, that was great. First thing I'm doing is like, yo, next one though. Like, we're changing that. We're not doing that. Like, we're doing that times 3. Like,
right after a sneak peek, for example.
Yeah, exactly. When we spoke about it after.
Call.
Yeah, totally. And that was like, that's super important, I think, to look at that and not be like, yo, I hit my sales goal. I'm chilling. Yeah. Like, then, because, you know, when are you going to pick things back up and, like, do it again? Like, you got to have an even higher goal for the next time. And so, like, yeah, like, there's a lot of stuff going on that's really cool, but everyone is just kind of like a learning opportunity for the next thing to do it twice as big.
Exactly. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're obviously going to keep on doing them.
Yeah, totally. I'm a big advocate for that. I'm a big advocate of like learning from your successes too.
Yeah.
Because I always see successes as like something to be like surpassed. Yes. And then obviously learn from mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm dealing with a few right now and a couple things that I won't talk about, but like, trust me, like it's not easy.
You get through it.
Yeah, some of the stuff. But it's like, again, like whenever you're in kind of those challenges or kind of like you've just come off of like a really cool thing, like just kind of looking towards what you want to do next and kind of figuring out how what you've just done is going to set you up for the next thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's also enjoying the moment in a sense. Like, let's say you're really successful. Everything's going perfectly fine. Yeah. You need to realize that that's not going to be forever. So you need to like embrace and enjoy the moment. And also when things are going really poorly, you know that's not going to be forever. Yeah, so you just need to tell yourself either situation is not going to last forever. For sure.
Yeah, I've had a lot of I'm really thankful for the people that I've worked with on stuff because I find that I'm one to not get caught up in the moment as much, which is like there are pros and cons to that.
I feel like
when
I'm
it's like
the same, yeah.
When it's like a good thing that's happened, I'm like kind of, oh, this is sick, like next thing. And it often takes someone else to be like, yo, that was like really cool. Like, have you thought about it like that? And then when I kind of think of it, I'm like, that was sweet. But then at the same time, like, when I guess maybe that's just for success is getting caught up in the moment as much as I should. And then for like the challenges, sometimes I'm like, oh, damn, like this is going to be tough. And like, I've had some really good mentors and, really good people, especially at Bonsai, that are like help me kind of remember kind of that long-term vision when even like sometimes I'm forgetting about it. And so it's really good. And I think that's why like team is so important. And that's why I don't really do any projects where it's just like me, right. Not because I've thought about it and like I maybe could, but it's just way more fun for me and it's way more supportive. And I know that it's really comforting to be able to have someone to kind of lean on when
there's no downsides.
You get into something. No, totally. I mean, I think you have to be smart in how you build the team for sure. And like, I can spend hours on talking about how to build a team, but
on another podcast.
On the next one. But that's super important. I think it's really, really helpful.
So we've done a lot together, whether it's graphic designing, making the photo booth, Sneakpeak. So let's dive into Sneakpeak because we didn't really talk about it that much.
Yeah, sure.
So before I actually brought you on board, I literally had one sponsor that was really, really small. So they make sneaker accessories. And I got them just for the sneaker custom contest. And when I actually got them, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, what's next?
Yeah.
So I had trouble getting brands because I was making those rookie mistakes. And then you came to me and you're like, yo, I think I can help you. Yeah. I was like, okay, let's do it. So we literally went from one miniature sponsor to 6 in June. We got Red Bull, Pepsi, Rastaclat, Bubbly,
Crap, Michelin-esque.
Michelin, like, insane. So yeah, I want to talk about that whole process.
Yeah, totally.
What was the first step? We just sent out a bunch of emails.
Well, I think like kind of going back to those like kind of steps to get a partnership, I think what was really important for me was like obviously I had seen what Sneakpeak was from like kind of an outside lens, but I had to really understand like what you guys were doing and what you were going for there. And so I think, first step was just like us kind of having a couple chats and kind of allowing me to really kind of get into like the inner workings of Sneakpeak to understand again, like what's the value to bring to these brands. Obviously there's like kind of that immediate alignment that comes to mind. Like Crep Protect is like one of the top sneaker, like cleaning brands, and you're a sneaker convention. So like it makes sense, right? But what does Crep Protect actually gain from like showing up there, and what does showing up actually mean? Like what do they kind of like, what can they provide? And that was important too, is like what value can we offer them, and then like, and what can they do to get the most value out of the experience as well. I think that was the first thing. And then it was just kind of hitting them up and trying to find the right people at these companies and getting the conversation started.
And it wasn't that hard, to be honest.
No, man, because I think, like, that's what, like, my thing is when I'm just, like, hit everyone up. If you truly believe you have a value there, hit them up. It's not going to be as hard as you think to get the conversations going, because everyone will engage in something they see value in.
Exactly.
Right?
Everybody watching, hit brands up. They want to work with you. You guys are scared to send a DM, send an email, or call them. Like, they literally...
Send the DM. It'll
work.
Send
the email, send the DM. They will answer you. They want to work with brands because they want exposure.
Exactly, yeah. And
why are you scared?
Yeah.
They want you.
When you have the value that you think they'll be into, hit them up. And as long as you communicate it properly, they'll hit you back. And from there, I mean, the harder part can be talking about money or talking about other logistics and stuff like that. I mean, we had plenty of logistics stuff that we had to go through. That was a little tricky. And even there, like we had all these brands, but we made a lot of mistakes, and we were able to make it work, which is good. But like those early conversations where getting them to get excited about it, like if you have the value, it's not that hard really. And you just have to know how to communicate that and be able to kind of speak their language.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem for me, at least, because I wasn't used to the whole like professional approach.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I took like a more friendly, just like as if we're friends type of thing.
Yeah, and I think
you can't do that.
Well, I think that's important to an extent. Like you don't want to be, especially in this kind of industry, you don't want to be like too much of like a kind of robot.
Yeah.
You got to be friendly, obviously, and you got to be sociable, but you do kind of have to understand like these are big businesses, and you have to hit on the points that like they are going to be looking for.
Exactly.
So like value is a pretty kind of general term, but like you have to look at, they have revenue targets, they have marketing targets, and they have all these goals that they need to hit. So you can't just say, we've got a lot of people, this is going to be great for you. You have to say, hey, there's an opportunity to sell this, like a lot of product. So you attack on those sales. We have ideas that can really build up your social media following, and so that's like, it's still friendly, but it's like, it's a legitimate kind of opportunity now.
Right.
And I think if you just go in and say, hey guys, we think you're awesome, you should just like come to this show, they're going to say, okay, cool. But then they have to do the work of figuring out what do they get out of it and how does it meet their goals. And when you kind of learn how to kind of approach those conversations based on what they're going to be looking for, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, you kind of need to give it to them on a silver platter. And
100%. Like, as much as this is an opportunity for them that they might get value out of, they've already got their plans for the next 6 months, for the next year. So they're okay. And that's one thing that I've learned a lot, where I'm like, yo, like, why don't you want to work with me? Like, I've got great stuff. And it's not that they don't want to work with you. They're like, we got a million other things to deal with. So it can't be any work for us, at least in the beginning. And so you got to give them the information they need. You got to give them the tools to be able to understand why this is something they should spend their time and their money on.
Absolutely. People miss that a lot. Like, it's a super common mistake to say your value rather than like how they can benefit from you.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like a lot of people say, okay, this is how I can benefit from you.
It's super easy to, I think, talk about like what you have.
Exactly.
And perceive it as like, oh, hey, you should partner with me because I have 50,000 followers.
Exactly.
Like, that doesn't mean anything. You say, you should partner with me because my following would love your product, and I think we can help you guys increase whatever in like a super high volume because I have 50,000 of these people that would be really engaged. Like, you have to show them again like what the value is, and not just talk about yourself, because they'll say, cool, you have 50,000 people. Like, how does that benefit me though?
It's all about how you formulate. Like, that's the biggest thing I learned from working with you, is like, it's literally formulating your sentence so that the brands will perceive it in a way that will make them want to work with you.
A pitch is not what you have, it's what they can gain.
Right.
So when you're communicating to them, that's all you have to really just remember, and it's super important. And
with the initial pitch, the first email, how important is it to include numbers? I usually say it's like the most important or not important?
I usually don't include too many numbers because it's a little it depends what numbers you're talking about. Right. Like, what if it's like what your following is and like stuff like that, it can come off really well, or it can kind of come off like kind of meaningless.
Right.
So I would say it depends. But if it's important to like helping them see the value they can gain, then throw them out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, like for Sneakpeak email, like we had to include the amount of expected attendees.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, super important.
You have to,
yeah, like, because if you don't say it, they're going to ask, and it's one more question they have to ask you. And so that's good. But I think it depends. Like, I think you can be smart about it. You don't just want to hit them up with like a bunch of stats right away.
Yeah,
because
it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. It's too much. And obviously you'll dig into that, but you can hit them with a few numbers if like the kind of main ones that are going to be important to them for sure.
And I just wanted to recap on the whole experience. Like, I just feel like it's crazy.
Yeah,
how
super
much
fun.
Sneakpeak changed in literally 3 months.
Well, then we got the panel too, eh?
Yeah.
So that was super new, and I think that was cool. And to me, I treated that the same way as like any of these brand sponsorships. Like, that was a partnership of sorts with all the other people that were going to be involved in that.
Yeah, that was sick.
We had Luja and Trent, who were super cool and provided really kind of different perspectives, which I think was really fun to listen to. And that was the same thing, like they're going to be putting themselves out there and exposing themselves in front of an audience, and they're not public speakers like I'm not and you're not either, so it can be uncomfortable. And it's like, Trent's super enthusiastic, and he's got a lot of energy, so he's a great presence. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, we're not speakers by trade.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's, you have to kind of treat that as the same thing. Like, you're gonna do something that maybe you don't typically do. This is why you should do it, though.
Yeah, that was cool to approach them, and they were super down. Luja was like, "Yeah, I'm down."
Yeah, it's
Trent,
fun.
No hesitation.
And it builds their brands too, which I think was really important. And they're both trying to do that. They're both really, really exciting entrepreneurs in the space right now. So they got a lot out of it, which is great. And I think everyone did, and I think we knew that was going to happen. But I mean, you can't just go up and say, "Hey, we want you to talk for an hour."
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I also think other brands saw us doing that and kind of learned off of us. Like, I
definitely found it interesting that panels were popping up more, for sure.
Out of nowhere, like at least 3 different companies were like, "Yeah, we're having a panel at our event."
Well, I think especially with like the whole kind of like sneaker game being super accessible and reselling, which I I think has really grown a lot, especially for younger kids too. Everyone's kind of interested in like how to make that something that they can like really, really push. It's easier to just like kind of flip a shoe or two like every now and then, but like these kids want to turn into businesses and the opportunity is totally there. So I think everyone really, really values hearing those people speak about their experiences. And that was why we brought the panel out to Sneakpeak, was so that people could hear that. And I think a lot of the other kind of conventions and events are learning from that too. I mean, there are conferences that exist for a reason. You know what I mean? Like everyone's trying to learn. And I mean, I'm frequently trying to go to these things too.
You do learn a lot.
A ton. It's really, really cool. And yeah, I think that was a really cool add-on. And I'm happy that everyone's doing it because I think everyone benefits.
No, I think it's essential. Like I was asking myself, but it's funny because I actually have a document I saw yesterday, and it was literally a document for my first event. And I had plans of doing a panel discussion.
No way. Okay,
but
awesome.
2 years down the line, I just never did one.
Yeah.
And then you came into the picture, and I was like, okay, it's time.
So why do you think you didn't do one in the past?
I think I just forgot.
Fair.
Like it was in the document because...
Yeah. Well, it's a lot. You're by yourself at that point, basically, right? Yeah.
I guess I didn't see the value until you explained it to me.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
I was like, okay, it's not going to add that much to the show.
And that's what I think, like, kind of brings back that point about, like, having that team with you is obviously takes a lot off your chest, but it also kind of helps you kind of speak through things that you might not have done so.
Exactly.
And
you just talk it out, you brainstorm.
Yeah, totally. And like I think there were a lot of ideas that we ultimately came out together for Sneak Peek, and the same things happen for Interest in Bonsai, where it's not necessarily like I just have this idea and that's how it happens. Like you got to talk through and have those conversations, and that's how they grow and they expand. And or it might be an old idea that you didn't make moves on because you didn't know how or you didn't understand why to do it, exactly like you were with the panel.
That's true.
So having a team is really cool to get that stuff out.
Yeah. Communication is super important.
Yeah, it's huge. Communication and honesty is really big, I think, when you're working with a team, because the moment you're in a team and you try to start doing stuff alone, that's when stuff gets really tough and things kind of fall apart.
Yeah, because you're bouncing ideas off of yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, you get no feedback.
And no one knows what's going on anymore.
Yeah,
too. Like that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Everyone starts coming with these ideas that like have not been thought through, and people are, it ultimately just kind of becomes a waste of time. Yeah. So communication is huge for sure.
So yeah, I think we talked about a lot. We talked about where you started, friendships, partnerships, interest, Bonsai, Sneak Peek.
Yeah.
Approaching brands.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot going on, and I'm super happy to have been part of the things that I have been, and for kind of what the future holds with all of these things. And it's super fun to talk about it. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah. And I'm super happy I made it to number 3. Top three.
Number Trace. Number 4 coming soon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Once again, welcome to the Sneak Peek Podcast, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. See you there.